So the Golden Globes took place a little bit ago, and with it came a surprise winner. As out of all of the animated movies that have been nominated and discussed over what could potentially be winning accolades this award season, Flow has just won the Golden Globe for Best Animated Feature, which now has everyone second guessing their Oscar predictions. Yeah, remember Flow? First of all, I just want to acknowledge that a few award events have actually been pushed back due to the crisis of the wildfires in California right now, so for anyone dealing with the fallout of that situation at the moment, we're sending you all the best. But just before that all happened, the Golden Globes did indeed squeak by, and the animation category carried with it something that a lot of people are surprised by. It's a weird one with the Golden Globes. It's a pretty problematic organization with a relatively small awarding body that has a history of bribery behind it, yet it still typically gives us an initial idea of where the rest of the award season is going, with all the other pretty problematic organizations. Up to now, we've had some supposed frontrunners in our US-centric sphere. Pixar's Inside Out 2 was the highest grossing movie of the year, one of few animated movies to ever get that status, and DreamWorks as well really made their case with The Wild Robot. As for me, my British instincts want to be Team Wallace and Gromit, and then another favorite of mine was Transformers 1, which wasn't even nominated. And if the Academy's history with toy brand movies tells us anything, that is likely to remain unchanged. I mean, how does the genuinely excellent Transformers 1 not get nominated, but Moana 2 does? Well, it's pretty obvious, you know? It's a big company, Disney. I don't really have faith in the actual integrity of these award ceremonies. And if the Academy does also nominate Moana 2, I'm just gonna roll my eyes. Anyway, despite all of these big movies all nudging into what was an absolutely stacked animation category this year, it was the independent Latvian movie Flow that came out on top. And I gotta say, I'm absolutely delighted to see this. In recent years, we've seen a real rise in underdog animated projects getting the awards attention, which is absolutely fantastic as far as I'm concerned, as it does give more precedence for these best animated feature categories. Don't get me wrong, this category is always being used as a way to sideline animation from the overall best picture category, and that's still infuriating, but animation also still deserves its own awards in my opinion. Hey, maybe you never know, with things like this expanding the roster, maybe it'll just expand into more categories with the animation tag. I just want more stuff like this. And stuff like this is absolutely why I come with so much praise for animation. In the earlier days of this category, it felt like Studio Ghibli was the only studio without US ties that the industry was even paying attention to. However, with projects like Robot Dreams and Flea getting nominations in recent years, it speaks to a much more open and interesting conversation. We're coming out of the era where almost every winner is a Disney-funded project. I mean, if Moana 2 somehow won the Oscar this year, I'd change my tune on this and call absolute corruption, but we'll see. However, for now, it would not surprise me at all if Flow took the crown this year. Do I think it deserves it? But technically this movie doesn't actually release in the UK until March for some reason. But judging by all the praise that it has received on the festival circuit, I have no doubt that we have something pretty special going on here. A movie of this scale doesn't get this kind of attention for nothing. And it doesn't have the huge press and marketing sway of a Disney or Universal pick, and so they have scored this on pure merit alone. You know, how it should be. And hopefully this is a lesson to the bigger studios that sway and money isn't gonna be enough anymore. If you haven't put all your chips on prioritizing quality, then you're not gonna get rewarded for it anymore. No, Big Hero 6, the Oscar will not go to you. Is that a spicy take? However, having said all that, I'm still kinda mad that Transformers 1 is probably gonna get very little awards attention, on top of just being outright deleted for not being super more profitable enough for Hasbro. I get it, these characters were born out of the aim to make money, you know, their designs were led with the idea of how they could be sold to kids in the 80s before creating any semblance of character. However, that's likely true of a lot of stuff that has been nominated over the years. Hey there, thank you for making it to the halfway mark of the video. Come along and subscribe. Alright, back to it. Hell, last year you nominated Barbie for Best Picture, so don't give me that. Just because of how something started doesn't mean what a talented creative team have done with it in a movie years later in a way to reinvigorate and redefine a start of a new direction for the franchise as being anything less legitimate than, I don't know, Moana 2! I hope the Academy go differently with this to the Golden Globes, but again, my hopes aren't really up there. As for what I think are the biggest potential rivals to Flow, I think Wild Robot is really the biggest threat. This has been heralded by many as DreamWorks' best movie. Not me personally, I love the movie, I just made an amazing episode about it, but I love a lot of DreamWorks stuff. However, that is the kind of hype this movie has behind it, so don't be surprised if that does cause what I guess now would be called an upset. It is still the bigger company at a, award organization. Now, a semi-plausible third could be with Wallace and Gromit, Vengance Fowl. All but one of their movies has actually won the category that they were nominated in, so that could very much happen. I'm not going to say Aardman are in the Academy's pockets, but they certainly are they certainly do have a soft spot. However, whilst critics across the board have praised this movie, this particular installment has received way more audience praise over here in the UK, whereas I've seen a lot of US movie guys on YouTube see it as a bit of a step down, which I think's really interesting culturally. Whereas over here in the festivals they were showcased, this has been heralded as a franchise best from Aardman. US audiences that have actively loved the other movies are less hot on this one, and to be fair, this one absolutely doubles down on the British humour and cultural references. It's like the venom from the notes they got on Curse of the Were-Rabbit from DreamWorks still runs strong, and so they've just taken that Netflix money and made the most elaborately British movie possible. And in their defense, this led to over 16 million people across the UK watching the movie in a single week, so it reached its main audience, to say the least. For context, that is more than how many people saw Wicked in the States opening weekend. And I think just over half of that, around 9 million people, were watching it live at the same time on Christmas Day. I guess that's my long-winded way of saying it's probably not getting the Oscar this time round, but it's almost definitely getting the BAFTA. That's right, we don't have a biased awarding body at all. Don't know what you're talking about there. Anyway, for me at least, seeing as Transformers 1 won't even be nominated, that just leaves Inside Out 2 as the only other possibility I can see. Whilst I'd be fine with that, this is a movie that has already had a lot of success in the form of its box office, and it's just kind of the classic big guy, isn't it? It's just Disney, somewhat. Like, well done, Inside Out 2. You won 2024. Do you need more? So I'd love to see another movie get the award success to share the love around a bit, particularly with a movie like Flow that would have otherwise made absolutely no money at all. This is what animation should strive to be. Not necessarily an Unreal Engine video gamey looking aesthetic, but just having the balls to do something so artsy and profound, you know? This is storytelling manifest, more so than the very next Disney sequel added to the collection going into a remake soon in live action. Plus, on the Inside Out front, there's still a lot to be said about its production and the overworking of Pixar staff, so maybe let's not try to reward that kind of behavior with a trophy, you know? But either way, that's my updated predictions. I'll probably put together my own personal Oscar nominations tier list because I don't really trust these organizations to go with the best quality film, just the one that paid them the most money on the side, or gets the most benefits, or clickbait article hits, I don't know. We'll see, I'll put something together in the coming weeks. The Oscars are still way off in the distance, and of course delayed due to current events. But who knows, Flow may well absolutely sweep up this season. I guess we'll just have to find out and see. For now though, I'll end it off there. My name's been Daz, thank you very much for reaching the end of this video. Do tell me, do you think Flow will come out the victor, or what do you think? And I shall see you all in a little bit.